And welcome to my channel. I'm in coaching center. Today I'm going to explain your 10th standard science chapter 6 life process part 2 video. Last video I explained about digestive system or alimentary canal, we can say, and about stomata and formula of glucose I said. So next topic is respiration. So till now we have learnt about nutrition. Till now we have learnt about nutrition. We learnt. So the nutrition is converted into energy in life process. For life process it is converted into energy and whole body it is applied. Some organisms two different way it use oxygen to break down glucose into carbon dioxide and water as well as. So first it break down glucose into six carbon molecule, then into three carbon molecule. It breaks it carbon molecules. This is called pyruvate. This breaking down takes place in cytoplasm. In cytoplasm, this breakdown takes place. So further, the ethanol is converted into carbon dioxide, and this happens in yeast in fermentation. During fermentation it happens. Since the process takes place in absence of oxygen, if any process takes place in absence of oxygen or air, then it is called as anaerobic respiration. So anaerobic respiration you may have learnt in your lower classes, and one example is the mitochondria. This breaks down three carbon. It breaks down the three carbon pyruvate. It breaks the three carbon pyruvate molecules into three carbon dioxide molecules. It makes it as carbon dioxide molecules. Another is the process takes place in present of oxygen. If in that process if oxygen is presented, then it is aerobic respiration. And aerobic respiration takes large amount of energy than anaerobic respiration. The aerobic respiration takes more amount of energy because it has oxygen. This photo you can see, this is the respiratory aerobic and anaerobic. So the energy is, after this the energy is used by a synthetic molecule called ATP. It is called as ATP that use the energy that comes from this respiration. So ATP fuels all other activities of the cell. Other activities of the cell, it helps cells, and ATP is breakdown. It is breakdown and gives a energy, and it gives energy that can be used in endothermic reaction by the cell. Endothermic that can be used by endothermic reaction by cells. For endothermic reaction by cells, it is used, that energy. Since aerobic respiration gets more oxygen. Aerobic respiration that happens in presence of oxygen, as I said, it gets more oxygen, but and the plants get carbon dioxide and water. Carbon dioxide and water through stomata. It gets the carbon dioxide and water. Stomata, this is of diffusion. Because of diffusion, they make it start this. And so at night, when there is no production, at night when there is no production of CO2, carbon dioxide, when it not produced at night, as you know, they do not produce at night. At night, when there is no production of CO2, there is no photosynthesis occurs. So at morning, CO2 is produced by when we breathe, produced. So the photosynthesis is occurred by plant. You may have learnt in your lower classes. Your teachers may have said that the photosynthesis may have occurred in morning, not in night, because there will be no sunlight also. And it produces oxygen, as you all know, produces oxygen. And the oxygen is used by terrestrial animals. Oxygen is used by terrestrial animals like animals and humans. We use it, humans, and we leave the carbon dioxide that is used by plant. That carbon dioxide is used by plant. And but animals that live in water use the oxygen on the surface, oxygen on the water. The amount of oxygen that is on the water, that only it use. Since the oxygen in water is less than oxygen in terrestrial, in land, terrestrial, so they take oxygen fastly. You may have seen the fish. It takes in oxygen. It takes in water. And the oxygen is taken in by gill. A thing is present called gills. It takes the oxygen from the water gills and sends to all the parts of fish. It sends the oxygen. Since terrestrial animals takes the oxygen in different types. Oxygen in different types. It takes different types it takes, and it leaves carbon dioxide. That all you know. It leaves carbon dioxide, but the since the oxygen and carbon dioxide is taken, and carbon dioxide is taken in by slowly, so there are small passages in body, small passages in some part of in some part, so that it can take easily, it can take oxygen easily. So air comes into body, air comes into body through nostrils, through a part here that is located in our body. It is called as nostrils. By that the air comes in, them as this 4 marks. Keep in your mind. So after that there is a hairs, there is hairs located in nostrils that are like passage that helps the oxygen to go to throughout the body. This passage helps in supply of oxygen in body, as well as from there it goes through throat, and joins the lungs. It goes through throat and goes to lungs, and there, so it helps. So the oxygen, so there are rings present in throat that helps the air not to collapse or vanish. It protects the air to go safely to lungs, not to happen collapse, or it may not to vanish. Photo of respiration here you can see, and this is the nostril, and this is the alveoli. So within a lungs there are smaller things and small tube that is like a structure of balloon, it is like a structure of balloon that is called as alveoli, alveoli. And on surface of alveoli there is blood vessel present on it. So when we take in breath, we feel our chest is it is lifted, it is become up, and diaphragm is become flattened. We feel it is become flattened. So in this photo I will show you. See a diaphragm. Here you can see this is diaphragm. This, when you breathe in, it becomes flattened, and when you breathe out, it becomes big. So the blood vessels that is present on the alveoli takes the oxygen to all the parts of body, to all the parts of body. It takes parts of body, and it brings carbon dioxide to out to lungs, and it throws out the lungs, and lungs has a sufficient amount of carbon dioxide, sufficient amount of oxygen. Lungs has our respiration. In our respiration, hemoglobin is very high in oxygen. This is in this is in the red blood cell. We can form that. So in red blood cells we can find this hemoglobin, and it is more soluble for oxygen like a water. So like a water that soluble, like that it solubles the oxygen. So because of that, hence the oxygen is supplied through blood, supplied to whole body through blood, because it can store more oxygen. So the blood can store more oxygen, so it supplies oxygen to whole body. So transportation in human beings. Let's know about transportation in human beings. So you may have learnt in your lower classes. You may have learnt in your lower classes. Blood consists of plasma. Blood consists of plasma that helps to transport food, carbon dioxide and oxygen, and many other things is carried out by red blood cells. Next, let's learn about our heart. The heart is biggest muscular organ of our body, and we have, as you all know, there are both oxygen and carbon dioxide in our body. Oxygen and carbon dioxide should be supplied. So oxygen is supplied and carbon dioxide comes back. So both should be supplied. So heart need two chambers for that, and that is, again, this carbon dioxide containing cells goes to lungs. There it purifies it and sends the oxygenated blood which contains oxygen, that it sends to oxygenated blood to heart back. Oxygenated blood to heart, it comes back, and then it is supplied back to all part of body. It is supplied all part of body. So the oxygenated blood come back to heart from lungs and enters a thin wall a thin wall called atrium. So here you can see a right atrium and left atrium. So it enters it. So left atrium it comes not it comes to left atrium. Here left side atrium you can see here the pulmonary veins here left side it is there. No, there left atrium it comes, and then it goes to left ventricle. It goes 1 minute. Left ventricle, then it goes there, and from there it is pumped to all the part of body. It is pumped to all part of body after the left atrium. After it goes to left atrium to all the part of body. Afterwards, deoxygenated blood comes to the right atrium. Here you can see right atrium. 1 minute here, right atrium. There it comes. After that it goes to right ventricle, right atrium it came. Next it goes to right ventricle, and then the blood is pumped. That blood is pumped to pumped to lungs. It goes to lungs to take the oxygenated blood again. Means if there in the carbon dioxide blood, if there is some oxygen, it will take and it will send it back again to the heart. Oxygen enters the blood in lungs. In the lungs, how oxygen enters the blood, let's know about that. So 1 minute, this they are separating. So the separation of heart is good. To keep oxygenated and deoxygenated blood. Oxygenated and deoxygenated oxygenated blood. So here you can see there are separation in heart. Here the wall is there in the middle, and you can see there right ventricle, left ventricle, right atrium, left atrium. This is the separation is good, so that we can remember which side the oxygenated. The left side is the left atrium, the oxygenated blood comes, and the deoxygenated blood comes to the right atrium. They get more oxygen. The animals get more oxygen. Like this oxygen. If we do like this, if we separate, we see the heart, and they can also get more energy to do work, get more energy and more temperature. So energy they get from oxygen, and the temperature they get from the environment that is around them. From that they gets the temperature. So animals like amphibians and reptiles has three hearts. It has three hearts. Three chamber in hearts, not three heart. It has three chambers. We have two chambers, like that. It has three chambers. And the fishes has two chamber in hearts. When it takes oxygen through gills. When it takes the oxygen, once the energy is passed to all parts of fish, then the energy is again passed to all parts of fish, This process, this is called double circulation. Two times supply of energy. Double circulation it is called as. And arteries supplies blood to all part of the body. It supplies all part of body. Artery and veins, this is I am telling about human body. Artery supplies blood to all the part of body. So here you can see, 1 minute. Artery supplies all the parts, all the blood to all the part of body. And veins it brings back the blood back to the heart. It brings back the blood back to heart. For this they do not need wall. Like it is in heart, like that they do not need, because they go in one direction. They do not go in different directions. The blood do not go in different direction, they go in one direction, so they do not want any wall in middle of them. The artery brings the blood to heart, and it becomes smaller. It becomes smaller blood vessels. When it becomes smaller blood vessels, and then it joins to capillaries. Into capillaries it joins. Their exchange of blood and material takes place in this gap, takes place, or in this joint. Capillaries then it forms as veins, and takes the blood away from the heart. Away from heart. It takes the blood away from heart or organs. Maintenance of platelets. How is maintenance of platelets happens? So you may have know that when we got injury, sometimes injured, we can see, sometimes not, we can see more blood flowing away, and after few minutes, and after this loss of blood give problem to pumping of blood, means pumping of blood in heart, it gives problem. So what happens means, at that time the platelet cells come, and the blood is clot, and the going of blood is stopped. After that, we can see the limb. Next is limb. So it is form, or we can see in capillaries. In the heart, I said capillaries. We can see it has protein and some minerals that comes out from the protein and some minerals that come out from the capillaries. From that capillaries, if some protein and minerals comes out, that and limb carries the food. Limb carries the energy, carries is the fat from capillaries, from capillaries to veins. Transportation in plants. Next is after transportation in humans, transportation in plants we will know. So as you all know, we have learnt about CO2 till now. CO2 CO2 till now we have learnt about how CO2 is formed in plants. So now the other materials the other materials is materials to plant will get from soil, and afterwards the chlorophyll supplies all the materials to the plant what material it need. But there may be but there may be some gap between root and plant and leaves while this. So what to do? This you have learned the plant has xylem that transport. You learned that the plant has xylem that transport the water and minerals and phloem that transport food and photosynthesis. Let's know about the xylem. So the xylem tissue, tracheids, vessels are all connected with each other, and they sends the water, and it is a water conducting tissue, and this connection is water. This connection that is between the xylem tissue trachea and vessels. This sends the water, and this connection is water conducting connections, so that they can conduct the water. Goes to root and take the water from water, and so the water is taken by xylem vessels. It is taken by them xylem vessels. They send the water to all parts, and stomata tries to lose the water. It loses the water, as I said in the explanation of stomata. And the loss of water is happen in aerial parts of plant, that is transportation, that is they call as transportation. And transportation takes place and it transports the water to all the parts of plants. So next, let's know about transportation in phloem. Now I explain about xylem. The transportation of soluble particles. In photosynthesis, the transpiration of soluble particles is called as translocation. Translocation. What is translocation? Means the transportation of soluble particles in photosynthesis is called as translocation. So before the transportation of photosynthesis, it transport amino acids and other and other substances. It transport substance that help to grow the plants, that grows the plants sends the material or the food item material to all the parts of plants through ATP. It sends ATP means adenosine triphosphate. ATP means adenosine triphosphate. This excretion. So till now we have learnt about exchange of oxygen, exchange of gases. So now the oxygen so now what happens, now we learn about the biological process by which the harmful substance in body comes out is called as excretion. The harmful substance of the body that comes out. And ATP, you have ATP. This they may ask this for 1 marks. Adenosine triphosphate, ATP they may ask. So there are different ways for excretion. So the unicellular organisms does the excretion in simple diffusion or simply very easily it does. And multicellular organisms do excretion very difficult diffusion. It is little bit difficult or more diffusion they do. Now let's know about excretory system of human beings, that is kidney. So excretory system of human body. The excretory system of human body has kidney, urethra, urinary bladder, as well as many other things it has. Urine that is produced in kidney goes to urinary bladder, and it is stored till we go to urine and the purpose of filtering kidney is to remove the waste from blood, waste water and waste from blood and waste acids to remove that. Kidney has very thin wall capillaries. By that capillaries, kidney is made into a thin cup called Bowman capsule that filters the water, that filters the blood and water. And this is a collection of Bowman capsule is nephron. The collection of Bowman capsule is nephron. Bowman capsule. So the excess water enters this and it is absorbed by this. If it is pure, it is absorbed by this. The wastewater is sent out as urine from urinary bladders. It is sent bladder and then it comes out through urethra. It comes out from the urinary bladder. The wastewater comes out. Next, let's know about excretion in plants. So now we learned about excretion in human beings. Excretion in plants, it is completely different from this. From this excretion in human beings, it is completely different. Oxygen only throw out the waste from the body, waste from the plant and sometimes and the dry and dead leaves are used to put the waste of plants. You may have seen some leaves are falling. That is because they are dry and they have dead cells leaf that are used to put the waste of plants, and later it is fallen down. Later it gets dry as it does not get water, and by this process also the excretion in plants happen. Other waste or put in xylem and it put the waste into soil. The xylem put the waste into the soil. So like this, the excretion in plants happen through leaves or through sometimes oxygen, or through they put the waste to xylem and to soil they put. So this was your chapter, the life process. So in this chapter they may ask, write the diagram and name the parts of heart. They may ask the excretory system and Bowman marrow. This they a little bit out, but heart, excretory system they may ask, and 1 minute, and they may ask human digestive system. Write and draw and explain, or draw and label the parts. Tomato, there is little doubt to ask, but digestive system, excretory system, and the heart, they will definitely ask. And this diagram they will ask, and they will ask to some questions from this chapter. So don't forget to read this chapter. This is a big chapter. So okay friends, I think you have understand this chapter. So like the video, comment on my video, and subscribe my channel. I'm in coaching center for more videos. So tomorrow I will explain the another one chapter. Till then, take care and have a nice day, friends. Bye, friends. I will see you tomorrow. And don't forget to read this chapter. They may ask the diagram and some more questions for 2-3 marks, and sometimes for 1 marks also. So this is a long chapter, so please don't forget to read this. So okay friends, bye, see you, take care, I'll meet you in my next video. Till then, take care and have a nice day, friends. Bye, friends.